Dr. Bess, I'd like to first and foremost start off by thanking you for 3 wonderful semesters here at Tulane. I had the opportunity to take a few of your classes and want to appreciate you for all your time and effort that you put in to the communications department. You're my first African American professor, and you really have made a lasting impression on me. And for one of the first times, I can honestly say that I've taken away not only from what I learned in your classes, but from you as a person. You really have taught me a lot, and I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate you working with me. In this final reflection video, I will go back and touch on some of the issues we talked about in the first portion of the media literacy class, and then in the second part of the video, I'll kind of transition it into the actual teaching aspect, the curriculum, and my thoughts on the project, and then kind of just give you, some ideas or tips maybe for your next class. And one of the very first readings that we did by Giroux, I remember there were a few key things that I took from that. He was basically telling us, why people educate, how people choose to educate, and why. And I do want to hope to one day coach and teach, and so I think it's really important, even from the coaching aspect, to understand why coaches have the certain style of coaching that they do, and the same goes for education. So basically, the Giroux article is, kind of saying, how or asking how one should educate, their classroom, and we talked about the struggles that are involved with how children are taught, and the fact that educators are kind of stuck on this one set way of educating when there's thousands of children out there that are taught differently. Some are auditory learners, some are visual, and teachers don't really adjust to that. They kind of are set on one way, and everyone doesn't understand the same. And so some teachers will go at a faster pace, and you have your kids who understand, and that do take from what the professor or the teacher is saying, and then you have your other who maybe aren't as fast as learners, and and need that one-on-one attention. And I think that's important. If you're going to be educating the future citizens of America, that everyone should be on the same page, maybe not on the same pace, but they should be taught, in a way that everyone understands. I feel that by educators teaching in a way that reaches out to maybe not necessarily every student that they have in their class, but at least adjusting to the likes of the makeup of their class, that it would allow things to go a little bit smoother. And one of the main things I think is an issue with education is the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, teachers just being afraid to step out of the traditional box of how children should be educated. I mean, with technology changes, kids have iPads in their classrooms now. They have access to the internet, to different outlets and different sources that allow them to be taught. The textbook is now is not the only way that kids are being educated, and I think that by the teachers really adjusting and hearing the voice of the children, that it would make things a lot easier. Like, I know there's so many times, and going up through grade school and middle school and high school, that I kind of wish that my teacher would allow for my voice to be heard more. I think that because they're the teacher, they see that they're the authority figure, and they hold the power over, a little 17-year-old kid, or, a middle school student. But, I have opinions and views on things too. And I think by incorporating my thoughts into what the teacher, was teaching or talking about, it would have made it just would have made me feel better, as a student, that, my teacher values what I have to say, instead of teachers, kind of devaluing what students have to say. The most important things I think that I'm going to take from what we learned first semester is just the fact that you stressed what it means and why it's important to think and engage yourself critically. You know, at first I didn't really comprehend, you know, what you were meaning by that, or what some of the authors were meaning when they, said that educators should teach in a way that allows them as educators to think critically, but also allows the students to think critically. And I think that just means to kind of go above and beyond what's put right in front of you. You know, you have your teachers telling you something, but think critically. Think from not just your perspective, but this perspective of others, and try to find ways to incorporate the knowledge and the tools that you possess with the knowledge and tools that other people possess as well. We read several different articles in class, but to me, the one that was most vital was the Bell Hooks articles, Teaching to Transgress. I mean, she kind of, to me, summed up everything. You did a good job as well, but, just by you breaking it down, her interpretation of what it meant to teach to transgress, which means to teach beyond and to move and to dive further and beyond, the ways that we educate. And I think that's extremely important. I know she talked about being able to balance your personal maybe biases or opinions on things, and to put those, not to put them aside, but to combine them with what is factual, and using that as a way that you can teach and help kids, to understand. And then to go away from the articles, and we got into talking about, what is media literacy, why it's important, and we started kind of talking about what we would be doing as far as the teaching to the kids at Baby Ben in the second semester. I honestly have to say I didn't know what it. Not so much I didn't know what it meant to be media literate, but I didn't really know there was so many aspects to media literacy and how it affects the choices that we make in our everyday lives. So when we did the teaching component, I honestly learned a lot from the curriculum myself. So I took away just as much knowledge, if not more, from the kids, and it was really able to see that the media does affect our personal choices. It affects the type of car we drive, to the clothes we wear, the perfume or the fragrance we buy for our husband, our dad, whatever. It affects every single thing that we do in our lives. I think one of my main goals, and kind of a class goal, was for the students to have a clear-cut definition to how media, the role media plays in education. And when we started kind of coming up with the curriculum, I know my group personally, we thought we had, we thought we had a really good set of ideas for, for what the kids should, or how they should be taught about why it's important to be media literate. But looking back now at the curriculum that we have, or that we used, I think that their curriculum, for the most part, I thought it was really, really good. I mean, looking back at how it was set up, we had to improvise, and I think that's one of the biggest characteristics and the most important characteristic that an educator should have, is that they have to have that ability to react quickly, and when things don't go right or how they were planned, then you have to improvise and go an alternative route. So when we came in the first week, and we went and just did like a brief intro of why I was to be media literate, and then media and entertainment was the next week, and then advertising and consumers, new media and political implication, and then why we web. We really strayed away from a lot of the things that were on the curriculum. I mean, we went by the curriculum, but just things didn't always go as we planned. I mean, we had an idea or a vision for one lesson, and then when we got in class, we maybe didn't think it was the best route to go. And for the most part, I felt I felt like the students, they were engaged. Maybe not critically all the time, but they were engaged for the most part. Um, with the lessons. I mean, some of them, they weren't as fun as some of the other ones. The advertising and consumers was a really fun lesson, and then of course the social networking and the Wild Web Web lesson was probably one of the most important, or not most important, one of the most fun lessons that the students got to participate in. I think one of the things that I'll be taking away from teaching is that like Bell Hooks said, you have to teach to transgress. We have to go above and beyond, what was on the paper. We have to, like Jerome said, we have to teach in a way that every student is able to take away from. If we would have just taught one single way and didn't have, pictures or audio, some of the kids might not have got the message that we were trying to get across. So all in all, I've enjoyed, the second semester of class. Teaching was probably, I enjoyed teaching and being around, young children. I mean, these are the future kids, of America, and, what better way to educate them than to give them the knowledge that I received, so therefore, maybe one day they'll look back on our class and really, think and take from, the lessons that we taught them. The next time they're on Facebook or whatever social networking site and they, think to put a comment or, post an inappropriate picture, that they'll think twice about that and think about, well, Dr. Bess's, the college class from Tulane, they came and, they told me that, there's consequences or repercussions for, doing things like that. So, I really did. Like I said, I enjoyed it, and I hope they did too. To talk about the digital storytelling projects, those were they weren't difficult. It's just we ran into, again, like I said, we ran into some problems. We didn't really necessarily have the opportunity or the time to improvise, but Harvey and I did. We were able to go out there and reshoot some of our scenes and like you wanted their voice to be heard. And I think even though our project wasn't thoughtfully put together, it wasn't much of the kids' voices. It was, we told them to do this, that, and the other. But when we went back today, we really, really, really told them, we told them, look, we're short on time. We kind of have to improvise, but we need to get you guys' voice heard in this video. It's not about us. You guys, tell us what you want, and we'll kind of work around that, so that, they felt like they had a hand in creating the project. So, all in all, I hope that you're pleased with the video, and we'll see it tomorrow in the presentation. But some final, I guess, closing remarks and tips would be, although I like the fact that of course, you allowed us to create the curriculum, I think that it would have been better with your input in. I mean, just, you're the doctor, you know everything. So I think, you could have maybe steered us in the direction of what you want to be taught, and then we kind of go and fill in those missing pieces. I think that would have been really useful, because I think my group, we were a little bit confused as to what you wanted in the curriculum, and it kind of got, kind of could go any direction, and we didn't really know which direction you wanted it in. But all in all, I think this class was, I think it was great. I wish it could be both semesters, where we go in and teach maybe in the first semester as well, and cut, some of the readings and stuff like that short. So therefore, we have longer time, to do the projects. So I think, that was the most fun that those kids had, was being able to create their own voice. A lot of the times they're always told what to do. So when they were able to have a hand or have a say in what was being done, I think they love that. So again, Dr. Bess, I thank you for another wonderful year and semester here at Tulane, and I wish you the best in everything you do.